Welcome back. We are talking about a meaningful and an important transaction when it comes to the fashion retail business in the country. It is a collaboration of both the online and offline to create an omni-channel approach, which is going to really define the game changers of tomorrow. The big story that we are focusing here is that Walmart-owned Flipkart, which is a global giant, that is buying 7.8% stake in Aditya Birla Group companies ABFRL, which is into fashion retail, and they are going to do an investment of 1,500 crore rupees. Now, as far as the stock price is concerned, this particular deal values the per share value at 205 rupees per share, which is a 37% premium to the last closing price of the listed ABFRL. So, huge amount of euphoria there. Without much ado, let's take it straight across to some of the experts who will give their insights on what it really means for both Flipkart as well as Aditya Birla Fashion Retail. Gentlemen, so good to have you on CNBC TV18. We have Ankur Bisen as well as Abneesh Roy and also Vaishnavi Mandania. Thank you so much for joining. First, taking it to Ankur. Looking at the way the retail space is developing, where the physical retail has been hit hard, so definitely ABFRL needed to ramp up its online presence. What do you make of this particular collaboration? Also putting to light that Amazon had done a similar deal with Shoppers Stop, but it did not change or move the needle much, I think.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I think it's a great deal in the context of how retail and fashion retail has changed in the post-COVID world. For sure, physical retail that was skeptical to adapt to e-commerce pre-COVID has suddenly seen the world change and realized that digital is the growth for fashion retail, and there is no two ways about it. And I think that's where ABF saw an opportunity with Flipkart. The second thing is this omni-channel as a reality is now coming to life for both e-commerce retailers and brick retailers. Both sides of the retail divide have understood the virtues of omni-channel, which means you need brick retail and you need digital and you need e-commerce. I think how do you put two and two together? And that's where I think Flipkart's interest in ABF, because that's where ABF is slightly different from Shoppers. Shoppers is more a department store model, which is more an aggregation model. But as far as ABF is concerned, it's got some solid brands, a great legacy. It's one of the largest men's fashion retailer in fashion. It's got value fashion going. So I think in this context, it's a win-win deal for both ABF and Flipkart.
Abneesh Roy, as far as the stock movement is concerned, of course, there's a huge amount of euphoria. The stock is up 6% and the valuation is at 205 rupees per share. In your view, is this a good valuation at which the company has diluted its equity, considering that the stock fall has also been massive in the COVID times?
Yeah, Aditya Birla Fashion, we are quite positive. We see significant re-rating. If you see the deal price of 205 is more than double the low seen in 6 months back. Yes, Aditya Birla Fashion had one of the highest debt to equity ratio in this space, and my sense is in the next 1 year, it will become almost net debt free because rights issue, 2 more tranches will come. And this 1,500 crore infusion, we expect that in the next 4 or 5 months, definitely the money should come in. It doesn't take too much time for these kind of approval. Yes. So how I see is 4 large buckets. So Reliance obviously will be relevant in every retail format with so much of infusion with technology players and of course priority equity. Sure. Second will be Amazon and third will be Flipkart and fourth will be the Tatas. So all other brands would need to realign themselves, otherwise it will become very tough for them to survive. ABFRL gains from here because Myntra obviously is the largest e-commerce in fashion. Sure. So that they have really shrunk the time to really create their own online. Yes. So I would say that Amazon, Shoppers Stop, the expectation versus the actual performance has been below expectation. Yes. But here it's far more bigger brands and definitely I would see much higher chances of success. So
execution acumen will be very important, and for the stock performance, what is also creating a little bit of positivity is also the debt reduction. 1,000 crores through rights issue and 1,500 crores will come in from Flipkart investment. So 2,500 crore rupees of fundraise in total. Large part could be be used for reduction of debt. But Vaishnavi, do you think that this calls for a re-rating at your end, and what will be your view and the key highlight that you would like to see in this transaction?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Yes, I do think, so for me, the concerns with the company was one, obviously being the uncertainty due to COVID. But I think that is more going to be addressed as we are getting back to normalcy. So I think our channel checks also suggest that this month has been very strong on the back of festive season sale. The second concern was basically the mounting debt, which I think the rights issue, which will take care of the cash burn that the company will have this year with lower revenues, and the saving money through this deal, I think, will obviously enhance its online presence as well. So I think in Pantaloons, I think online share is around 1 to 2%, where in the Madura side, it's higher at around 8 to 9%. So there's a lot of scope for online growth, which I think this deal will bring. But I think that's more of a longer term that will play out. In the short term, I think it's the debt reduction which will take place for them on a more immediate basis, which I think will lead to a re-rating.
All right. So solving for those two issues, those are the primary issues for ABFRL and could be addressed with this transaction. Final word to you, Ankur, then before we wrap. I would like to attract your attention to two important aspects. A few years back, Aditya Birla Retail had come in the market for a private equity investment, but they did not want to give a board seat. This time, surprisingly, they have said that Flipkart entitled to appoint an observer as an invitee to the board. This should be taken extremely, seriously, because this is an important development. And on the other hand, the arrangement also of an ROFR for 1 to 5 years. What do you make of this, Ankur?
On the first part, I think a lot has changed in the last 5 years as far as the retail landscape is concerned. The big retail major, about 4 pivots that talked about by the other expert, talks about the fact that how much we have traveled in the retail sector towards this sort of a dominance by 4-5 players. And for you to stay relevant, you need to align with some sort of an ecosystem for you to be profitable and to have a sustainable growth. The second thing that ABF always faced as a challenge was the delay or the way they sort of approached digital and e-commerce in general. You would recall that they started with ABOF, and then it was withdrawn, and then there were some listings in other e-commerce sites. And in the last 1 year, most of the growth has actually happened in e-commerce as far as fashion is concerned. And Flipkart being a major in fashion, not only online but in the larger fashion retail ecosystem, it talks a lot about the importance that Flipkart has been assigned to, and so it should be by ABF for this thing to happen. So therefore, this board seat and the important, which I note as an important driver of change. It is also a realization that ABF is one of the players now. The retail landscape, particularly around fashion, has undergone tremendous transformation.
Sure.
So I think to that extent, you can't compare with it.
All right. So two aspects that Flipkart really is a winner in this, and we know where the bargaining power had really tilted is the ROFR as well as the board seat. But nonetheless, for ABFRL, it is a big milestone in terms of addressing some of the concerns and moving forward when it comes to the growth. Thank you so much, Ankur, Abneesh, as well as Vaishnavi, for joining us with your great insights. With that, we'll slip into a short breather, but stay tuned to CNBC TV18.